Hi, I'm Joel Wanasek. I'm a pro mixer and the co-founder of NailTheMix.com, the coolest place to learn how to mix rock and metal music in the entire universe. So today I'm going to react to and break down the mix here of Sueco's Paralyzed, mixed by Colin Brittain, who's an absolute badass. I love this song, love this mix. Sueco's on fire right now, and this is pretty rad. So let's hit play. I'm going to be quiet and listen. Piano's mixed very full bandwidth. What I like is there's a lot of low end in the piano. You know, you can really like hear, you know, like the weight of the key, the way it's mixed. It's got a nice little ambience on it.
She got a big ego, you could see it on a telescope. I'm the same way, it's why we always argue back and forth. I swear she my poison at the same time.
The vocal comes in, the vocal's got a nice amount of bottom end. Listen how much low end is in this voice.
On a telescope, I'm the same way, it's why we always.
And also pay attention to how much mouth artifact. What I mean by mouth artifact is like there's a certain amount of mouth noise when you're in between, right? When you compress something really hard, you kind of pick up the breaths and all the little nuances of the articulation and delivery. And that's brought very forward in the way this vocal's mixed. You know, it's definitely saturated and compressed. And as a result, it sounds like the vocal is very intimate. You can really feel the passion and the energy of the delivery. I love it when you can do that. And it's hard to do that on some vocalists because sometimes you can get like lip smacky, like in your voice and stuff like that. Not here. Like the vocal delivery is amazing. The way that it's mixed is definitely accentuates that, and it brings out the emotion in it, which is super sick.
A big ego, you could see it on a telescope. I'm the same way, it's why we always argue back and forth. I swear she my poison that.
Now I like how there's like a little delay that starts to kind of automate up there as like that swell comes in.
At the same time, my antidote. She the noose around my neck. I couldn't ask for a better rope. Hey.
You know how that subtle build, it's really, really clever. It's very quiet, but it's enough to get your attention and make you feel like something's happening without really distracting your attention. You feel it subconsciously more than you actually direct your attention, which is on the main vocal. So very, very good mixing, very clever move.
You're like a time bomb, take it away. 30 seconds till you blow up, right at my.
All right, so we got a groove change here. We've got some guitars that are buried very quiet in here. We've got the hi-hat that's kind of on top that gets attention. It's not super bright, but it's pretty damn loud. And he is belting on the voice.
I can't find one good reason to stay. So why do I?
Okay, I love this vocal mix. So pay attention again to what I was talking about with all those little fine nuances to the vocal delivery, how they come out because it's so compressed and saturated and broad up front.
Like a time bomb, take it away. 30 seconds till you blow up, right in my face.
You know, in a vocal like this, the breath is actually part of the groove. A lot of times when I'm mixing, especially like in choruses, I hate breaths, so I like to cut them out. But like, this is the kind of place where leaving the breath in just absolutely kicks ass. Like it really brings out, it's part of the flow. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't cut it out. The way that it works in, and like I said, the way it's mixed, it kind of brings that up and it uses, you know, the space between the words to create the vocal pocket here, which makes it sick.
So why do I walk it away? You got me back.
Chorus. All right, here we go. I love how this opens up. Why does it sound big? Listen. All right, so all the pocket and energy is coming from the drums. Now, one thing that's impressive about the way that this is mixed is the drum, the kick drum particularly, is really loud and has a lot of bottom end push into it. And this is kind of like a faster pattern tempo, right? And normally, the faster the kick drum, the less low end you can put in it because it kind of gets muddy. But the kick drum is super tight in the relationship to the bass. And the kick drum is the loudest element. It's really pushing it. You know, the snare is pocketed back, and then the cymbals are kind of there, but they're not like in the way. You know what I mean? The way the kit is built, the kick drum is driving a lot of energy. The drums are kind of in the back. They're not in the way. They're driving it, but they're not like, you know, it's not like a drum mix where you're like, drum, you know? It doesn't sound like super aggressive. It's not ripping your face off. I mean, it sounds drum forward, but again, the drums don't sound super aggressive, so it's not dominant in terms of like the way that it feels. Like you don't listen to it and you're like, holy drums, like they rip your face off, even though they're mixed very upfront. Because the main focus here is the vocal. So listen to the vocal now, how it's in relation and balance to everything. And there's a great stereo spread on that vocal. I just love how big it is, because again, you go from like the mono hip hop vocal. It just opens up and gets massive. You know, the drum comes up, you have all the guitars and the synths, and we'll talk about that in a second, which is important, but it's secondary. It's kind of just there to add size. Where it's like the vocal in this song is mixed in a way where I call it like department store rock, if that makes sense. Like you're at the department store and it's like a vocal up mix. You know, the vocal is mixed really loud, and no matter where you go in the department store, it doesn't matter if you're in the fitting room or you're in the bathroom or walking down the hall, you can hear every single nuance of every word spoken and every lyric in the song. And this song is mixed that way, which again, I think is great, because if this goes to like radio or whatever, that's going to be super, super important. So the vocal is mixed in a way to just make it totally the star of the song. Everything else is secondary. He's, emphasized the vocal, the pocket of the vocal, meaning the way that it flows in terms of the mix. And he's also pronounced like the groove and the energy of the pocket from the drum. So it sounds awesome. I love this mix. All right, let's pay attention to guitar, because we're nerds and we like guitar. Guitar is way tucked down. It kind of just melds into the bass a little bit. It's kind of bright. It's hard to tell if it's scooped, how scooped it is versus, because it's just not that important in this song. You know what I mean? It's like there's guitar in here, but it's not like guitar, which is important because, when you're mixing, if you play an instrument, like I'm a guitarist, you want to like favor the instrument you play, which is a bad thing when you're mixing. And mixing is about prioritization. And here, the types of balances that are selected are super important. There's some like keys, stringy, synthy things in there if you listen in the background that are kind of just there to make it sound big. They add a lot of mid-range. That's kind of like the mid-range. You can't like clearly hear them in terms of like articulation, but you can feel the mid-range that it adds, because there's like frequency-wise, there's like a wall in the mid-range. Like you can just it's just there. It just like adds that mid-range support. You can hear some synths, but you can't quite make them out. Again, if you took them out of the mix, the whole mix would sound hollow and fall apart. So we're getting a lot of the mid-range, not so much from the guitars, but actually like the keyboards and pads and synths and stuff that are in there. I like the harmonies are super loud. Now what's cool is like the verse doesn't really drop off as much as you would normally expect a verse to. I mean, the instrumentation comes up, the vocals are still cranked at chorus level. So that's badass. Like that's a bold move right there. That's like, look, pay attention. I like the clean guitars that are in there. Pay attention to the clean guitars. They're very subtle, but they add a nice little counter melody. I mean, the hi-hat and the vocal are so loud. That's the main focus. But like, those clean guitars, they kind of just add that little melodic tension in the second. Yeah, we've got clean guitars. We've got electric guitar chugs. Like everything's chugging away. It's great. Like metalheads get their true chugs here. But everyone loves chugs. Let's just be honest. Chugs make a song good. If it doesn't have chugs on guitar, it's like all right, jokes aside, I like that energy that it drives in here. There's a clean guitar, very, very gently put in there. See if you can pick it out with you. Maybe I'll call it like a clean crunch. It's very, very lightly distorted. I like those, like, we've got the main vocal and then we have the answers. It's important to fill in something to grab attention in between this space and a hook, right? So what they've chosen to do in this song is to kind of put like a backing vocal in there to kind of like, I'm not even going to try to sing it, but you can hear it. That one, they filled it in instrumentally. Just as I set up to show you, they take it away. All right, here we go. I like this bridge. This is kind of cool. It kind of gets into like a cinematic kind of vibe. You know what I mean? This is like something you'd hear in a musical. You left your cupcake on my nightstand. Like the chord progression, Your favorite necklace is my right hand. We still got the main vocal, right? We have all this stuff. It's brought down. The vocal is still kind of very dry, compressed in your face, spatty, Everything else is kind of just tucked, into like a tight block of back. Yeah, you were never a part of the plan. Yeah, this mix is badass. I just really like the vocal mixing on this one. I think that really stands out. I mean, everything else is cool and sounds fantastic. But the thing that gets me is I just love how much emphasis is put on the vocals. How, like, just the way Sueco, his flow, you know what I mean? Like, his own pocket against the rest of the music just brings out a certain kind of energy and emotion in the song. When he's singing, it makes you feel it, if that makes sense. And it's mixed in a way that accentuates that, and which, in my opinion, is what makes a great mix. So let me know what you think of this mix here in the comments below. Of course, if you like more mixing content, I've got stuff on my Instagram and TikTok that's at Joel Wanasek, very easy to find. If you want to learn how to mix, of course, there's also nailthemix.com. We did a month with Colin Brittain. I'll put the link in the description below, where he did a Papa Roach song, which was super sick because watching Colin break down his mixing style and stuff and go through and mix a song was really, really inspiring and impressive, and like very, very brilliant mixer and producer, and the way he thinks is incredible. So you definitely want to check that out. If you enjoy this type of content, please click the notification bell, like, and subscribe. Thank you so much. And of course, if you got a song you want me to break down, drop it in the comments below. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much.